everybody. Good speech. We're ready to start again. Say hi. Yeah, we're ready to start again. We're just going to have one. And unfortunately, once again, it was kind of tough. We figured we'd give everybody an opportunity to present questions. But again, it's very difficult in a judicial debate. There's rules that have to be adhered by. Thank you, Judge Duro. She helped me out with going through the the judicial ethics rules on this to make sure the question that I am asking, we do have one we're going to ask to make sure that it complies. So the other ones, unfortunately, they were going to be asking about how would you rule on something, and that's clearly something a judicial candidate cannot answer. So the question will be, and this is to David Moss first. What judges do you admire? 2 minutes.
Interesting question, given that this was a question on both of our applications to Governor Evers for his appointment. I'll tell you, the judges that I put on my application as judges that I admire are John D'Amato, who is a judge in Milwaukee County, who I think can be widely regarded as one of the most knowledgeable, most prepared judges around. A lot of judges use bench cards and guides that Judge D'Amato came up with during his time on the Milwaukee County bench. I tried a couple of cases in front of John D'Amato, including an OWI first offense, about, I have to say, 3 or 4 months into my prosecution career. And like a lot of young prosecutors, I made a mistake. And John corrected me, he took me aside, he told me what I did was wrong, he dismissed the case because of what I did, and said it's a learning experience. And in some ways, he was a mentor to me as a young prosecutor. Second prosecutor I listed on my application to the governor was Derek Mosley, as my opponent points out. Derek and I were prosecutors in Milwaukee together. I admired Derek a lot. He was a good prosecutor. He did a lot of good work. He became the municipal court judge in Milwaukee. And what I admired about Derek as a municipal court judge was his connection to his community. Municipal court judges don't handle criminal cases, they don't decide sentences, they're not out to reform the community. But his connection with his community, well, yes, it was Milwaukee, but that's where Derek lived, and he tried to better his community through being on the bench, and I admired that. The third judge I said on my application that I admired was Doug Adelstein, who's the judge that I'm in front of right now in Fond du Lac County. I've been practicing in front of him for almost 2 years. He's a former deputy district attorney. The reason why I admire him was because he made the transition from a prosecutor to the bench. He treats everybody with fairness, he treats everybody with dignity, he treats everybody with respect. And he applies the law and gives everyone an opportunity to be heard. I don't shy away from the people that I said to the governor's committee that I admire. Those are the judges that I listed.
Judge Seymour, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. It sounds to me like those are fairly liberal concepts coming from my opponents. What I hear are support of Milwaukee County judges, I hear support of Milwaukee County prosecutors, and I hear support of more prosecutors equaling more money, unconscious bias training equaling more money, mental health treatment courts, more money. Maybe that makes sense from someone who used to work in John Chisholm's office for 9 years. What I will tell you is that there is a justice that I admire who is unparalleled among judges. That is Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. For those of you who have read his books, including A Matter of Interpretation, he was remarkable for many reasons. A devout Catholic, a family man, and an individual who is one of the most powerful people in the country, if not the world, said that his power should be limited. It should be limited by the other branches of government, including the legislature. And he did that by devoting himself to following the rule of law. So I admire him above all else. With respect to the question that I ran out of time, I admire a host of other judges who practice in the Eastern District of Wisconsin and on the Waukesha County bench. I have my colleagues to begin with. They're amazing. And I have the judges that I had the pleasure of appearing in front of, including the ones that I disagreed with. Above all else, though, it is Justice Scalia. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Shamborn. Okay, we have now reached the,
There's no rebuttal on that.
there was, well, we could, we didn't have that in the format.
If I could have just 30 seconds to.
We'll give each candidate 30 seconds. Go on.
Then put that on your application. Tell Governor Evers, liberal judge, that you admire Antonin Scalia. Come out with that. Tell him that. Instead, she told Governor Evers she admires Lynn Edelman, the most liberal judge we've had around in these parts. Either she's not telling you the truth, or she's not telling Governor Evers the truth. Either way, you don't want that on the bench, that uncertainty.
Judge Shamborn, 30 seconds.
Thank you. So I'm just going to throw out some judges who travel in my opponent circles. Again, Ellen Brostrom, who wrote a scathing opinion of Justice Dan Kelly in favor of Janet Protasewicz, gave my opponent a ton of money. Derek Mosley, who is providing DEI training across the state. John D'Amato, I don't know what his background is, but I know he's a Milwaukee County judge, and I know that's a failed system. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have reached the point of the closing statements. And since you went first with your opening statement first, Judge Shamborn, you will have your closing statement first.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I do really appreciate your time tonight. It's been so wonderful to speak with you. If there are not questions that I was able to answer, I'm happy to have a conversation with any of you on a one-on-one basis, because I want to make sure that you know what my qualifications are. I believe that Waukesha County deserves judges who protect the community, who support law enforcement, and who follow the rule of law. I am a rule of law and tough on crime judge, and you do not have to guess as to whether that will be true, because I will keep doing what I am doing, because I have the support of law enforcement and judges, maybe 7 or 8 the last time I counted, who want me to continue to keep doing that job. Conservative judges who understand what Waukesha County needs and deserves. It deserves to continue to be a safe place for our children to live, to work, and to play. I love Waukesha County. I will not let it become Milwaukee County. There is no safety without service, and I am that person to continue doing this job. You have heard nothing about my record on the bench that would suggest otherwise. It is a privilege to serve this county as a judge. It is a privilege to keep this community safe, to continue to protect the public. God bless Waukesha County, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Seymour. Mr. Moss.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight and taking an interest in our race. As we conclude this debate, I want to reaffirm my commitment to you of upholding constitutional values that define our community and our nation. I've dedicated the last 25 years of my career to protection of the community, the state of Wisconsin, and state criminal courts. My extensive trial and courtroom experience has equipped me with the skills to be an informed and fair decision maker. I stand before you as a candidate endorsed by law enforcement. Let's make no mistake, I am the law enforcement choice in this election. I have the support of the Waukesha County Police Chiefs Association. You'll remember the DA debate when they came out and endorsed Mike Thurston first, and then when Leslie Basie entered the race, they said, oh, well, we'll do a dual endorsement because you're both good candidates. They heard from both of us, and they endorsed me. And that should tell you something about who aligns with their values in protection of the community. I am backed by Brad Schimmel, who all of you will support in this election for Supreme Court. I have known Brad for a long time. He has known me, and he endorses me because of my values and my commitment to service of the community. My opponent is an appointee by a liberal governor. Yes, I applied to that as well. I've told you about my application. I submitted a letter of support from Brad Schimmel along with my application. I submitted a letter of support from Sue Opper, from Eric Toney. And you know what? Governor Evers' committee took absolutely no interest in me. The 25-year state prosecutor recommended by those people was not brought in for an interview. So that should tell you about the political aim for that appointment. I believe our judiciary must reflect our values, values that prioritize law and order. Together, when I am elected, we can ensure that Waukesha County remains a county of strong conservative judicial values. Go to the polls and vote for David Moss for Branch 4. Thank you.
All right, thank you to the candidates. Let's give them all a big hand up.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Great job.